Father Val at 40. A story of grace. The sun rising every morning is a testament of the beauty of God's creative design. Beyond the rising, setting, and falling of the sun are the millions of activities given by God and undertaken by men. One of such activities was the nativity of a young boy whose dexterity resounds even at 40 years of priestly service. It matters not how far the distance was, but how glorious it is. Such is the case of Father Val, a story of grace. The little boy Madoka was born on 20th October 1953 as the last child of the 8 gifts to Chief Gabriel M Okeke of Umoji, Dunukofia, and Mrs. Catherine Okeke of Enugu. Madoka was an industrious and ever-committed boy whose yearning for living a fulfilled life was his goal and dream. He was a dreamer of dreams, and out of fabulous stories of his childhood age, Madoka fashioned a purpose-driven life. Madoka began his academic pursuits at St. Anthony's Catholic School, Ifitedunu, from 1959 to 1966. In 1967, Madoka moved in for his secondary education at the prestigious Christ the King College, Onitsha, but was interrupted by the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970. The Civil War brought so many ravages, which were so endemic to his stay at Christ the King College. However, just like Pandora, he was left with hope in the box. It was at this time that the little Valerian met Monsignor Emmanuel Ote, now late, as the Bishop Emeritus of Iseloku Diocese, who inspired, mentored, and encouraged him to the priestly vocation. Through this vivifying encounter, wrapped up by the Eucharistic blessings, Valerian Madoka entered the All Hallows Minor Seminary at the end of the Civil War, 1970 to 1973.
What I know and what I can remember about my classmate, Bishop Val, starting from the junior seminary to at least our priestly ministry. If I start with junior seminary, I will say, starting from our early days, granted that he did his class 1 at Christ the King College before coming to All Hallows Seminary. That is where we started meeting there. So, there in All Hallows Seminary, we were classmates also. And then in the senior seminary, we were also classmates till 1981 when we became priests. As we normally call him, Val believes that cleanliness is next to the godliness. And then that time you look at Val, you see everything about him sparkling clean. Actually, everybody will want to be like him. We ourselves, even we who are his classmates, we admire him. He dresses well, keeps his shorts and his trousers so neat, so that people were really, he's really edifying people with how he dresses. Well, he dresses simply in a simple fashion, in a very simple way. He's always proportionate in whatever he's doing. During that time, we were in the junior seminary and also in the senior seminary. He is always punctual to spiritual exercises and also other common exercises we seminarians do in the seminary. Val himself, as we call him, devotes himself to both private and personal prayer. He's a real man of prayer. At that time, we watch him. He's there at times 30 minutes. He will go in the chapel before the Mass and do the Stations of Cross as some other junior seminarians do, other seminarians do. And then later, he will go into the chapel sometimes when he has the time to do his own private devotion. Many of us observe him doing this. He has worked hard on himself during the philosophical and theological studies there in Bigard to be an intelligent young man. He works hard to see that he puts out everything so intelligently. In his relationship with the other seminarians, it was wonderful. Val is almost a friend to everybody because of his openness. He's very open. And as a person that is open, you see the truth coming out from him. So everybody would like to come near him to get or to share in his witness. Because for somebody who is telling you the truth and always speaking, and you know actually his mind, he is always sweet. So when people actually need help, even in the seminary, he also helps people. He is generous. The much he could, just simply give to the person who would want him to help him. Well, not much, but at the same time to show that this is what I have and this is what I can give.
Father Val completed his secondary education and backed out with an excellent result, 1974. At the end of his secondary education, he was sent on apostolic work at the St. Paul's Minor Seminary, Umoji, as a teacher prefect from 1974 to 1975. Madoka's apostolic work experience was mind-blowing, and it opened him up to vistas of the priestly call. After his prefecting, he gained admission into Bigard Memorial Seminary, Enugu, for his philosophical studies from 1975 to 1977 and backed out with a degree in philosophy. He immediately commenced his theological studies in Bigard Memorial Seminary from 1977 to 1981, where he bagged a bachelor's certificate in theology. Father Val was ordained a Catholic priest on 11th July 1981 by His Grace, the Most Reverend Francis Arinze, now Francis Cardinal Arinze, the then Archbishop of Onitsha.
You are a priest forever, a priest like Melchizedek of old. You are a priest forever, a priest like Melchizedek of old.
Father Val was the 7th priest ordained from Umoji community. He began his first pastoral assignment at the Holy Trinity Cathedral, Ordination, now Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity, as a curate, once again under Monsignor Emmanuel Ote, the cathedral administrator.
After his ordination, he was sent to Holy Trinity Cathedral, now baptized Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity. He was sent here as a curate, as it was then called. Now it is called vicar. He was with Monsignor, the then Monsignor Ote, Emmanuel Ote, later Bishop Emma Ote, of late memory, of blessed memory. He had a very attractive personality, which most people noticed and liked him for that. But that did not make him lose his head. He was very focused on his priestly duties when he was here.
I would like to say few personal convictions I have about this man of God, Archbishop Valerian Okeke. I will tell you that when he was at the Basilica Parish here after his priestly ordination in the year 1981, you can describe his priestly ministry with one word, and that word is self-contentment. You see somebody who was happy, who was fulfilled, who was contented. And to be honest with you, it was this happiness that attracted a lot of young people who were following him then. I was a young man server here, and he was instrumental to my taking decision to go into the seminary, because I wanted to enjoy his type of happiness, his type of contentment. Over and above being contented, he was known for his personal cleanliness and neatness. He was always very neat. He was dressing very smartly as a very young priest then, and he was so attractive that his happiness was contagious. And he never discriminated against the poor and against the rich. He was very social. He was relating with everybody on the same pedestal, and everybody loved him, both the young and the old. And he really had a great influence in the life of many of us.
I've known him for more than 30 years, precisely in 1982. He was not yet up to 1 year a priest when I met with him. As a priest, he operates open door policy, that whenever you want to see him, you can approach him, whether he's strolling around or in his room. If you come for confession anytime, what he will ask you immediately, are you ready? Before you tell him that you are ready, he has started blessing you and be ready to hear your confession. It is a delight to interact with him. And after interacting with him, you will like a repeat to meet him again. He is good-hearted as a priest and devoted to his duty as a pastor. Both his relationship with elders and children has no demarcation. So much so that children were saying that I will be Father Val. You cannot saw anymore, saying I will be Father Val. And so many young boys here that time joined the seminary.
In 1983, Father Val was made the parish priest of Our Lady of Seven Sorrows, Umoji, considering his maturity and commitment to duty at the cathedral.
And later, he was made the parish priest of Our Lady of Seven Sorrows, comprising of the present Umoji parishes as of now. I had the occasion to visit him there in the mid-80s when he lost one of his brothers. I went there to console him personally because of what the type of person had known him before as a junior seminarian. When I was leaving the parish, his parish, the parishioners I noticed had a very, very long esteem for him because of the way he carried the affairs of the parish. He was cool-headed. His perception was high, and judgment accepted universally.
The stories of the present parishes in Umoji community cannot be complete without traces to his pastoral stripes. The assiduous priest, Father Val, left Umoji for his further studies in Rome at Alphosianum, an academy of the Lateran University, where he studied moral theology. Father Val also majored in philosophy from the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas. His academic doggedness was crowned with a PhD in moral theology and a completed program in philosophy. To square up these academic achievements, Father Val earned a diploma in French language from the Catholic Institute of Paris in France, a diploma in German language from the German Center for Language and Culture in Germany, a diploma in Italian language from Perugia in Italy, and a diploma in journalism from London. On his return in 1991, Father Val was sent by his Archbishop in collaboration with the unofficial provincial bishops to Bigard Memorial Seminary as a senior lecturer to teach moral theology and ethics. As a lecturer, he not only taught, but facilitated a proper appreciation of human value, human capital development, and dignity of the human person. He was a firm believer in the worth of the human person, which gave the seminarians the strong will of believing in themselves and in the power of their accomplishments and dreams. The seminarians loved him a lot. Because of his great strides in the teaching profession, Father Val was elevated as the rector of Bigard Memorial Seminary, Enugu, in the year 1996.
Then, as my teacher and my rector in the seminary, Bigard Memorial Seminary, I will say a few things about my impression about him. Father Val was never a lecturer. He was a teacher. Because the difference between a teacher and a lecturer is that a lecturer comes to the class, delivers what he has prepared, and then goes. But a teacher teaches by the example of his life. A teacher understands the students, each and every one of them, and he relates to each student at his own level. He understood each student and their potentialities, and that made every student to fall in love with him. You know, he always prepared his lectures so well, and he was delivering his lectures in such a natural way that everybody fell in love with his course, moral theology. In fact, many of us wanted to study moral theology when we were sent for further studies. However, it is God who decided what we will study. But if we were given the opportunity, many of the young priests who went through him as the teacher and the rector would have loved to study moral theology. But there is something very important which we noticed about him when he became the rector. When he became the rector, he was a father figure to all the seminarians, such that every seminarian was making efforts to be a little Valerian, a young Valerian. And I think he succeeded in producing so many Valerians in a lot of young priests today. There is another significant quality which we observed in him as the rector. He loved a beautiful environment. In fact, he believed that the beauty inside should reflect in your surroundings. And that was why whenever we went for holidays when he was our rector, by the time we came back from the holidays, he had painted the whole hostels, he had cut the grasses in the school, everywhere was clean, everywhere was neat, and everybody enjoyed that. He made a lot of changes. It may interest you to know that it was when he was the rector that the FIFA standard field was built at Bigard in partnership with the government then. It was through his initiative and it was through his supervision that FIFA standard field was built. I think it was the best field in this eastern part of Nigeria.
I must say that I am privileged to have come in contact with a personality like the then Very Reverend Father Valerian M Okeke, who was our rector at Bigard Memorial Seminary, Enugu. Even before I came to Bigard in 1995, I heard of one Reverend Father Valerian Okeke who donated to the seminary an enormous amount of money that he received from some white men from abroad. And so we were praying for him as our benefactor. Then when I came to Bigard, I met him and I saw a priest I can classify as a first-class priest. My understanding of the priesthood today is that it is a vocation, it is a sacrifice, and there is a strong connection between sacrifice and generosity. Archbishop Valerian Okeke, as he is called today, in these 40 years of priestly ministry, has donated himself to God. He has poured himself out like a libation in generous service, because the priesthood is a call to service. And the Archbishop understands that perfectly in his generosity to God and to his fellow human beings. We cannot ask for a better priest. And so it is a moment for me to thank God for having come in contact with such a priest who has also influenced me and who has also motivated me to pursue the same spirit of sacrifice and service in my own priesthood.
Father Val planted the culture of dreaming dreams and thinking big in his seminarians. He never, as a rector, de-emphasized spirituality. As he transformed the material elements of the seminary, he also carved a niche for his administration by saying to the growth of the spiritual well-being of the seminarians. Spiritual conferences were strengthened. Recollections were granted as at when needed. The liturgical life of the seminary and seminarians were rewired and ignited. To worship in Bigard Memorial Seminary was like worshiping in Vatican, the eternal city. His administration was the remedy to the electricity and water problems of Bigard Memorial Seminary. With a private transformer and 2 giant electric power plants, the problem of electricity swiftly became a tenth of the past under his leadership. Father Val initiated the Bigard Water Dam and Water Treatment House. Little wonder was typhoid not a corridor sickness under his wash. These water projects assured the seminarians and the staff a steady supply of good water to the seminary family and to our environs. One cannot talk of the Bigard and University of Ibadan affiliation without speaking of Father Val. His name was boldly engraved on this mega academic friendship project of the seminary. Today, seminarians enjoy and can boast of a Bachelor of Arts degree from the prestigious Federal University of Ibadan. Father Val also created the Workers' Salary and the Remuneration Committee, which evolved a fair and improved condition of services for the academic and domestic staffs of Bigard. In terms of physical fitness and sports, one cannot refer to the Bigard FIFA field without speaking of Father Val. He brought out his ingenuity in what metamorphosed to the FIFA Bigard field. Other sporting facilities in Bigard Seminary were improved, and Bigard resounded among other Nigerian major seminaries as a home of developing sportsmen. This is evident in the sporting laurels brought back to the Bigard under his leadership. In a nutshell, Father Val's administration in Bigard could be regarded as the golden age of Bigard Memorial Seminary, Enugu. While committed to his pastoral and academic duty at Bigard, both as a formator and as director, Father Val was appointed the Coadjutor Archbishop of Onitsha on the 28th day of November 2001. His appointment was a case of the reward of good work is more work. On the 9th of February 2002, he was consecrated the Coadjutor Archbishop of Onitsha by the then Apostolic Nuncio to Nigeria, Archbishop Osvaldo Padilla. Later, on the 1st day of September 2003, he became the substantive Archbishop and Metropolitan of Onitsha Ecclesiastical Province. Finally, on 29 June 2004, His Holiness Saint Pope John Paul II conferred on him the pallium as the Metropolitan of Onitsha Ecclesiastical. From his consecration as an Archbishop to his assumption of office as the substantive Archbishop and Metropolitan, his episcopacy has been fruitful.
His ministry and episcopacy, I can tell you, have been very rewarding. He has identified the key things that will make somebody run a good Christian race and pursue attainment of heavenly bliss. And people who he has nurtured at various phases of his priesthood can testify so much to his humility, his determination, his forthrightness, and his quest for excellence in anything he does. I've known him since the year 2000 or thereabouts, and I can tell you that having associated with him very closely over the years, I marveled by his disposition to a lot of things. One is that I find him very dependable and very reliable. He has been a priest who will not, under any circumstance, sabotage the truth. And he has paid attention so much to the development of the church since he assumed his episcopacy. And he has special love for education. Education for his priests and education for the youths within his area of authority. Because of his visionary instincts, he was able to build a youth home village in Amansi in Awka, where conducive environment was created for youths who go to school. And not only providing accommodation at the youth village, he made their spiritual life also part of the programs, so that not only that they will pass the exams, they will also be found both worthy in character. So he knows that if you catch the youths young and prepare them for leadership with the fear of God, you are already anchoring the society towards good development. So he has done that. And if you look at his priests, he's one of the bishops I have seen who invest so much on the development of his priests. Many of them I have met both in Rome, in America, under his sponsorship, all in pursuit of knowledge that will be used for the betterment of his diocese, archdiocese, and the society in general.
Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. We have to learn a lot about it, and I have learning it for several years. I am a very small student, and I would like to be developing, and when I complaining about European catastrophe, about European style, I just sometimes very I remember this gratitude, and I am the smallest in Europe because it is really a very great teaching for me. So not only the Archbishop, but he influenced the others, the priests, and after the priests, the whole population, the Archdiocese Catholic people, and it is really, really very marvelous. It was noticed by our Cardinal Erdő Péter in Budapest that how many smiling, how many gratitude, how many very beautiful face is from Onitsha, and it is because of the Archbishop. So if you see a great construct of the church, and in the top is a man who is absolutely to do his best about education, about healthcare, and about gratitude, and this teaching just spread away. It is seen by the whole world.
In 2005, when I had my first Gaslika crash, I was taken to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, Ihiala. Archbishop Val took a drastic decision when he saw my condition and transferred me from Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, Ihiala, to St. Charles Borromeo Hospital. There in St. Charles Borromeo, through his instrumentality, many different treatment procedures were instituted, which saw to my speedy recovery. And not just recovering, I recovered and became sound again because of him. I could have been a dead person, or a person after recovery be somebody that is deformed one way or the other, but he took it upon himself to making sure that I am okay. And then this attribute of his also was manifested recently in the life of a girl born without two hands. When his attention was called to the condition of this girl, he didn't hesitate. Immediately, he sought out means and ways of turning around the life of this girl. And today, this little girl, Adoma, is living close to a normal life as a person with a condition can get. Archbishop Val is charity personified. His second nature is charity. He delights in seeing people being happy. In fact, his charity ties into his Episcopal motto that they may have life. He sacrifices himself to make sure that people are happy. He delights in making the world a better place, even at a great cost to his life.
There's no time you go to him. The attention, he gives you such attention that after the discussion or after being with him, you just feel that God has granted you all that you wanted, both from his personality, the way he accepts you, the way he talks to you, the way he helps you to solve your problem, if you have any problem, or the way he rejoices with you if you go to him with something that is occasion of gladness. So that aspect of him, I admire it very much. And I feel other people also admire him too.
As a newly consecrated Archbishop of Onitsha, his predecessor, the Most Reverend Albert Kanene Obiefuna, was on ground and witnessed his early years as a consecrated bishop and substantive Archbishop of Onitsha Archdiocese and of the province of Onitsha. Just like our present political stage, where a sitting president or governor lays no much credence to a predecessor, it wasn't the case with Father Val turned Archbishop Val. Archbishop Valerian took his predecessor, Archbishop Obiefuna, as a father and showed love, care, and attention to him. Archbishop Val was not a loner. Little wonder his predecessor, the Most Reverend Albert Kanene Obiefuna, while on his sickbed, wrote some epistles dated 18th October 2008, 16 December 2009, and 5th June 2010 to testify to the care, love, and attention he had received from Archbishop Val. In one of the letters, Archbishop Albert Obiefuna noted, "My dear Archbishop Valerian, I have written this letter to thank you very sincerely for the concern and generosity with which you have accompanied me in this illness. If God decides that He will call me home through this illness, be rest assured that you have done all that can and should be done to let me have the best treatment possible." Father Val's life as an archbishop is a celebration of the numerous work he has accomplished as the Archbishop of Onitsha. His years as an archbishop has not been less fruitful.
Talking about him as the Archbishop, I would describe him in 5 different categories. The first is his motto. The second is 2 pillars of his spirituality, what I call 2 pillars of his spirituality. The third is culture of gratitude and appreciation. The fourth is charity as his secret. And the last one is culture of excellence. Let's talk briefly about his motto. His motto is that they may have life and have it in abundance. John chapter 10, verse 10. I'll tell you that this became his motivation even as a young priest. Because if you observed him closely as a young priest, he had always wanted people to have life. He believed that qualitative life is an inalienable right of every individual. Nobody should live a half-baked life. And that was why he was doing everything, both as a priest and as a bishop, to make sure that people around him, to make sure that people within his jurisdiction, that they have the fullness of life that Jesus has brought for us. Remember that his first pastoral letter, written in the year 2003, the title is That They May Have Life. That was where he clearly explained his vision, as a bishop, and that vision has been guiding him up till today. Then the double foundation, the two pillars of his spirituality, the Holy Eucharist and the Blessed Virgin Mary. These are the two pillars of his spirituality. He never jokes with the Holy Eucharist. No day passes without him paying a visit to the Blessed Sacrament. No day passes without him celebrating the Holy Mass. And that is why he recognized the importance of the priesthood. And that is why he enjoys his priesthood, and he wants all his priests to be happy as priests. Then secondly, he knows the value of the Blessed Virgin Mary. I remember that when we went to Ibadan some years ago, to Benin some years ago, when we celebrated the Year of Mary, he gave such a fascinating lecture about the Blessed Virgin Mary that everybody was demanding for the lecture. Everybody was demanding for the paper that he used for the lecture, because he was so much in love with the Blessed Virgin Mary. He was speaking from his personal encounter and personal experience of the Blessed Virgin Mary, not just reading from a paper, but his own personal involved experience of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And if you discover in this our archdiocese, once we have any major event, or once there is any crisis, both in the state, in the nation, he will always call people to visit the Blessed Sacrament and to say the Rosary. In fact, he usually instituted the benediction of the Holy Eucharist and then the Rosary every evening once there is a major event in the archdiocese. That shows you that these are the pillars of his spirituality. And it is because of this that he doesn't joke with priests. He knew that the world needs priests. Archbishop Valerian has sent his priests to more than 17 countries because they lack priests. So his priests are celebrating the Holy Eucharist and evangelizing in more than 17 countries of the world. That will tell you how he loves the church and how he loves the priesthood. Then, number 3, culture of gratitude and appreciation. Archbishop Valerian is a man who is happy with what God has done in his life. So it has become a culture in the Archdiocese of Onitsha now. When anybody wants to give a kind of vote of thanks, he stands up and he says, we have 3 points. The first is gratitude, the second is gratitude, and the third is gratitude. The first gratitude always goes to God for being God, for what he does. This was the culture established by Archbishop Valerian. Then the second gratitude, he's always very grateful to his predecessors, the bishops and the archbishops who were there before him. He's full of gratitude for what they have done, because it was the foundation they laid that he is building on. Without them, he couldn't have achieved much. But it was the solid foundation that they built for the archdiocese that he's now building on and taking the archdiocese to the next level. He's always grateful to the priest, the religious, and the lay faithful of the Archdiocese of Onitsha. And that is why he always thanks them. He thanks them once he has the opportunity. He doesn't miss the opportunity to say that he's grateful for what they are doing and for their cooperation. Then charity. Another name for Archbishop Valerian is charity, because nobody goes to the presence of Archbishop Valerian and comes out empty-handed. Anybody who goes into his presence must have something, because he is used to giving, to the extent that if it is possible for him to give himself, he would have. You know, he doesn't reserve anything at all for himself, because as a priest, he has given everything. And so anybody who goes to him comes out with something, because he loves giving. Giving gives him such a joy, and giving is his secret. The final thing is the culture of excellence. Archbishop Valerian always defines excellence as being of the highest and the finest quality, so that anything you do in life, try to put in your best. Try to achieve the best result. He is actually establishing this culture in our schools. And that was what metamorphosed into Regina Apache's being the champions of the world, it was because of the culture of excellence that he has established in the archdiocese, both in the school administration, both in health sector, both in the administration of the archdiocese, both in the administration of the sacraments, both in pastoral work and pastoral duty. He has established this culture of excellence, and the results are clear for everybody to see. So we thank God for giving us the gift of such a man with an extraordinary destiny.
In Archbishop Valerian, you see someone who loves his seminarians. You see someone who cares for his seminarians. You see someone who prays for his seminarians. I can recall, during the time of the reunion we had with the Archbishop, one of his intentions then was for the good of his seminarians. Every reunion, this particular intention keeps occurring and reoccurring. In him you see someone who loves and cares and wants the spiritual growth and physical growth of his seminarians. Even as young priests, you equally see Archbishop Valerian thinking good for his young priests. There is this particular gift that Archbishop Val gives to newly ordained priests in the archdiocese, and that is the gift of the Holy Rosary. After the Mass of Ordination, he calls the newly ordained priests, gives them some pieces of advice, some words of encouragement, and he must conclude those words of encouragement with the gift of the Holy Rosary. The Archbishop Valerian is someone who believes in the future of his seminarians, who believe in the future of his young priests. Little wonder you see Archbishop Val giving some high-stake responsibility to his seminarians and to his young priests, because he cares, because he loves them.
He's a man with a vision that sees the need of people and positively following the signs and time of our contemporary society. You can see that in the Holy Family Youth Village, renovation of schools, hospitals to international standard. This shows he moves along with the signs of time. Again, he's a lover of youth and children. He identifies himself in all the activity, both think and think. He's a decent man who always likes neatness and orderliness. He always says that clean environment builds up personality. And again, this shows his ambition to turn this part of Nigeria to be neat and imitate where our leaders normally go abroad to study or to take their children to. That's why he built the youth village. There you see good environment and facilities for learning and moral development of our young students. It's the best hostel in the Southeast and even in Nigeria. I praise him for that and I like it. And our children are enjoying it now.
Archbishop Val has engaged the Archdiocese in mega projects, super mega projects, and state-of-art projects, which has improved not only the lives of the people, but has boosted growth in the society where such structures are sited. Among these projects include the Holy Family Youth Village in Awka, Oluchukwu Oil and Gas, Oluchukwu Microfinance Bank, the Radio Sapiencia, and the ongoing Chanahan University in Onitsha. In spiritual development, Archbishop Val has lifted souls of the faithful through his pastoral letters, through his teachings, inspiring homilies and messages, administration of the sacraments, and sending many priests to specialize in various ecclesiastical disciplines and promotion of life of prayer. As an allusion to his enviable achievements, the Vatican elevated the Holy Trinity Cathedral Onitsha to the height of becoming the Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity on the 28th of May 2007. Building basic Christian communities by creating many parishes from 72 to 189, building of chapels of Eucharistic adoration and parish churches. These were the accomplishments of Archbishop Val. In modern means of evangelization, Father Val, as Archbishop Val, has employed modern means of communication to spread the gospel and sending many priests and lay faithful on further studies to specialize in various social disciplines like law, communication, medicine, pharmacy, architecture, education, engineering, and many more in order to serve the society better and to serve the church at large. This also boosts the growth of human capital development among his priests. In education, the Anambra State Education cannot complete our stories of success and achievements without mapping out an entire chapter dedicated to this illustrious son of the state and great pastor of the church. This is evident in his choice and passion of giving the schools earlier possessed by the state under the Ukpabi administration to the rightful owners of the school. Archbishop Valerian did not stop at that. He went on to renovate these return schools and established new schools. These schools across the Archdiocese and across the states have become sources of pride to the Archdiocese, to the Anambra State government, and to Nigeria at large. This is overt in the numbers of success recorded in the international, national, and state levels, respectively. He is an education-friendly pastor. Among such prestigious schools include Christ the King College, Onitsha, St. Charles Special Science College, Onitsha, Regina Pacis Secondary School, Onitsha, St. John's Secondary and Technical College, Alo, St. Kizito Girls Secondary School, Umoji, St. Joseph Seminary and Secondary School, Oketiti, St. Joseph Secondary School, Aguleri, Mata Amabili Secondary School, Umoji, Stella Maris Secondary, Umweri, and a conglomerate of them. Father Val, as the Archbishop, has put a new shape in the pastoral healthcare services of the Archdiocese, which not only satisfies the health security of the people, but has helped to develop the health sector of the state. This is evident in the restructuring of health setups in the Archdiocese and across the states, improving the standard of living of healthcare givers, provision of highly technological equipment for the hospitals, establishment of health institutions for the training of future healthcare givers, and many more. Among these institutions are the state-of-art St. Charles Borromeo Specialist Hospital, Onitsha, Holy Rosary Specialist Hospital, Waterside, Onitsha, Fatima Hospital, Oketiti, Immaculate Heart Hospital, Umoji, Immaculate Heart Hospital, Aguleri, St. Charles Borromeo College of Nursing, Onitsha, St. Martin's Hospital, Ugwaba, Obosi, and a host of them. All he did, and still doing, is to live out his mandate in fulfillment of Christ's priestly ministry, that the people entrusted under his care will have life and have it in abundance. John 10:10. In appreciation for the gift of life and the gift of the priestly ministry of Father Valerian, Archbishop Valerian, like the psalmist, we cannot but say, "What marvels the Lord worked for us. Indeed, we are glad." Happy 40 years of priestly service to our amiable Archbishop. Happy 40 years to the Great Shepherd of Onitsha Archdiocese. Happy 40 years of priestly commitment to the Metropolitan of Onitsha Ecclesiastical Province.